In 2026, you will see a couple of new launches that will be happening across the different regions between CCR and OCR. So what do you choose today, and would your older theories today still make sense for you in today's market? So today I'm going to cover a topic about how to buy smarter today, in the sense where people always tell us that you buy as big as possible. It really makes the most sense, because if the PSF goes up, generally speaking, your quantum also goes up, which also means that your profit is more. So let's deep dive a little bit on this. Before that, we also see that the upcoming launches in the first half of this year across OCR, there's one that's called Pinetree Residences. It's a mixed-use development integrated in Tampines. There's 1 km from St. Hilda's. It's in the preview period. There's also Tengah. There's also another one at Lentor coming up. River Modern is launching now already. Thomson View is something that is highly sought after. I think this one will definitely have the most hype out of the launches this year, and at the same time there's also Bayshore Road. So I've just done a video talking about the top 2 launches that I will look out for. So out of this entire group of them, I would definitely pay more attention to Thomson View and as well as Vela Bay, which is at Bayshore. So then the question is, how do you choose the right one, and is big always the better choice? So in this video today, I will be debunking a little bit about this hypothesis and seeing what really makes sense for you. If you have a particular budget today, what should you be going for? So like I mentioned earlier, logically speaking, assuming the same market growth, for example, if I have a 1,005 square feet space versus I have a 700 square feet space, if I see a 500 PSF growth, my 1,005 will definitely give me a lot more profit, 400k more profit than the 700 square feet one. So logically speaking, yes, buying as big as possible would make more sense. But if you deep dive down into the entry price and what are the options at that point of time when you enter versus the rest of the market, you will be able to discern better in terms of looking at what will be able to fit your future buyer when you want to sell. So let me explain. So before that, if you haven't liked or subscribed to the channel, please do. It really means a lot to me, and it will also help the algorithm to be able to churn out good videos for people who might need some clarity on their property purchases. At the same time, I've also come up with a new Telegram chat. I will also be putting in insights and also property news and new videos that might apply to you. It would really mean a lot to me if you were to just follow and subscribe. Thank you. So let me explain this question about, is bigger always better? So today we compare Park Colonial, which is a city fringe project near MRT. There's also Woodleigh Mall right opposite, and it's a 99 years. It's relatively new as well, TOP 2022. Versus Riverfront is near Hougang, but there's no MRT access nearby, and it TOP in 2024. For the same entry price at the same period of time, you could either get a 2-bedroom at Park Colonial. City fringe near MRT sounds like a good deal. From an investment point of view, it makes perfect sense. And for Riverfront Residences, because it's not so near MRT, your 3-bedroom is about the same price. So for 1.2 to 1.3 million in 2018, I can get a 2-bedroom at Park Colonial or a 3-bedroom at Riverfront Residences for the same entry price in the same period of time. Then fast forward to 2024, 2025, when people started to exit the market and to sell their units, right? You see that the profits for Park Colonial 2-bedroom near MRT as a mall is actually lower than Riverfront Residences. That would have given you 75% more profit in terms of looking at the quantum. So you can potentially have made about 250k more profit. So in this case, the bigger units made more, even though this location is not so super ideal and is not near the MRT. Now we compare another project that is Jadescape near Marymount MRT and accessible to Bishan within one stop, and Affinity at Serangoon Heartland area not near MRT. In the same period of time, a 2-bedroom at Jadescape will cost you 1.2 million, and a 3-bedroom at Affinity will cost you 1.2 to 1.3 million. So for the same entry price at the same period of time, you could either get a 2-bedroom at Jadescape or a 3-bedroom at Affinity at Serangoon. So we ask ourselves again, is bigger always better? In this case, a Jadescape 2-bedroom 775 square feet enter at 1.2, 1.3 in 2018. Affinity, a 3-bedroom enter at 1.2, 1.3 in the same period of time. The Jadescape 2-bedroom actually made 23% more profit. And this is about 150k to 180k profit difference. And for you to be holding on a 2-bedroom to be able to get this amount of profit is actually quite impressive. Like for example, this particular 2-bedroom 775 square feet, it's made about 500k profit in about 6 to 7 years. So I've shown you an example of a bigger unit making more with the same entry price, and at the same time another example of a smaller unit making more profit. So this makes it a little bit confusing in the sense where, in that case, how do I choose? With the same amount of budget, I can potentially get a 2-bedroom here versus a 3-bedroom in a less desirable location. Or I can swap it around and buy something that is supposedly a good location but a 2-bedroom and do away with a 3-bedroom in a not so ideal location. So in this case, what we want to understand here is that what are the key features that you should look out for, and to be able to discern yourself, understand what your future buyers are looking for before you make the move, and also looking at it from a very holistic view of the layout, the location, and also what are your competitors outside and within the area. So these are the 3-bedroom layouts. I talk about Affinity at Serangoon at 850 square feet. I also talk about Riverfront Residences at 915 square feet. So in this case, if you look at the Riverfront Residences floor plan, right, it comes with a fully enclosable kitchen, a window, toilets with windows as well, a little bit of store over here. But it really fits you for a family living. So if I have 2 kids, maybe no helper, this layout actually fits very, very well. And for the same price point or even more expensive, I will be willing to pay more for this. Versus if I compare earlier just now, Jadescape 2-bedroom versus Affinity at Serangoon 3-bedroom. In this case, what we are seeing as a downfall for Affinity, I would think, is really the layout. So coming in here for a 3-bedroom layout, it's an open concept kitchen. The stove is tucked on the corner over here. The fridge, the sink is over here. Cooking space is only literally at the entrance. There is still 3 bedrooms, shorter balcony area, but 3 bedrooms over here. Still functional in that sense, but I think the kitchen side is really not livable for most people, especially for family profiles. So the question now here is, what do they not have in common to be able to command or result in different profits? In this case, between Park Colonial and Riverfront Residences did better because the layout in this sense is very livable for people who want to buy for own stay. But if you talk about Park Colonial and Affinity at Serangoon, the Affinity at Serangoon does not have any MRT nearby as well. Same traits as Riverfront Residences, but the floor plan is not very workable for people who want to live in the area, especially for 3 bedrooms. It's mostly catered to HDB upgraders. So to understand this, right, we need to also understand what your future buyer is thinking about. Does this layout work for me and my household? Clearly, the Affinity at Serangoon, the 850 square feet, might not be able to fit a family profile who really need to cook for a family. The kitchen is really tucked near the entrance and it's not really usable. Second question is, does the layout function well for me more than just on paper size? For Riverfront Residences 915 square feet versus Affinity 850 square feet. If today the 850 square feet were something like the Riverfront 915 square feet space, I think it will still move. In terms of looking at the kitchen layout, the 850 square feet layout is just not as usable as for most households, and that's why the units there do not make that much. At the same time, can I compromise the location for a better living area? So for me to have the same budget and I want to consider a Park Colonial 2-bedroom versus a Riverfront Residence 3-bedroom, can I compromise a bit of the location? I don't have a doorstep MRT, I don't have a doorstep mall, but yet I still can have something that is very livable for my children and my family to live in. So let me break this down a little bit. We want to consider what is the consumer behavior for a 3-bedroom market. So where the 3-bedroom market comes from? Most of them will come from heartlander demand from HDB upgraders. If you're within the D19, D20 area, you have HDB upgraders from Ang Mo Kio, you even have Punggol, Sengkang, Kovan. All these places are flooding in demand for the condos in the area. Second point is floor plan layout must resemble a 4 to 5 room HDB. So for me to want to be able to upgrade as a HDB upgrader, I want to know that I do not have much of a compromise in space. I still hopefully have a store for me to be able to keep stuff. My bedroom sizes are decent. I have a proper enclosed kitchen and I have a spacious living and dining. So these are all the good to haves and good features for people to look at when they want to come and upgrade into a private location. At the same time, once we know that these features would match the upgrader expectations, then you know that the product that you're buying into will definitely be a relatively safer buy. So for example, today if you're looking at Thomson View and the floor plans are not out yet, you want to know that for the floor plan that you're buying into, you will have future demand coming in from these upgraders that might want to enroll their kids into Aitong, and would your layout fit for people? So for example, I have another example which is Pinetree Hill. They have a 1216 square feet. This is 1 km from Henry Park Primary School. Within Pinetree Hill, you only see a 969 square feet 3-bedroom. There is no 1000 square feet 3-bedroom at Pinetree Hill. It jumps straight to the 1216. But the 1216 comes with a proper 3-bed. There is a yard utility at the back for a helper. There's also a dedicated study which is a proper room with aircon unit. and a door and a full window. So this kind of layout would definitely appeal to future buyers coming in to want to enroll their kids into Henry Park Primary School, for example. So in this case, we want to understand and really just put together what are the typical upgrader mindset before you think about the particular product that you want to buy into. In this case, the Riverfront Residences 3-bedroom at 1066 square feet. When we talk about the features, I have a proper enclosed kitchen here. I have a proper storeroom. It's a good to have for me to be able to house a helper potentially and maybe put storage. My bedroom sizes are decent, all can fit a queen size bed. I can have a single size bed and also a proper study for kids to study at. And I have a decent living dining area, and I think that is what most HDB upgrades will look out for. So this floor plan is kind of very safe. This would be a safer product for you to buy as an investment to be able to sell to a HDB upgrader in future. So what about 2 bedrooms here? For Jadescape particularly, there's only one layout here that is an enclosable kitchen for 2 bedrooms. So it's a 775 square feet. There's actually only 1 or 2 stacks of this. So it comes with an enclosable kitchen, even with a window. Toilets also come with windows. So this for 2 bedroom is very rare. Today you see for 2 bedrooms, a lot of them come with enclosable kitchen. They try to fit it in. For 700 square feet, even 689 square feet, you can have an enclosable kitchen. So that is quite a huge draw for most people. But for Park Colonial, the example that we just put out earlier, the kitchen is actually an open concept kitchen. It's still 2 baths but no window. And then the dining area is not very dedicated as well. You have to put it there and it will compromise in terms of walking space. In this case, for Jadescape, you do get a dedicated dining area tucked to the wall and you can comfortably put a 4-seater over there. What we see for 2 bedrooms, we need to see what are the supply of 2 bedrooms in that project. That also determines your potential resale profit. So for example, today's Sterling Residences, I was just looking at it the other day. There are 536 units of 2 bedrooms alone. So in terms of competition, it's relatively high. At the start, when they first TOP, the demand was high for both investors and own stay because the rental yield is very strong for both 2 bed 1 bath and 2 bed 2 bath. So when we enter into a project like Sterling Residences, we know that the prices will hold quite well, but it may take a while for you to let go because there's just so many units of the 2 bedrooms in that development. Moving forward, we do see a lot of floor plans that have 2 bedrooms here, and then a fully enclosable kitchen. Or fully enclosable kitchen and then a dumbbell concept. Bedroom here, and then living, dining, toilet. So in this case, buyer preferences and demand these days, the key features that they look out for a 2 bedroom is right now enclosable kitchen. They like that. Also, dumbbell concept helps you to save a bit more corridor space as well. This is just something that for 2 bedrooms you need to take note of. Of course, for different locations and different projects, they will also cater to different profiles, generally speaking. So that's something that you need to take note of. If you're still very unclear about this particular example that I just showed you, and also for a particular budget, what should you be looking out for today? For the unit type that you're looking at, what might be a good buy today, whether it's new development or resale, you can also reach out to me. So I've come to the end of the video. You can WhatsApp me on the left QR code, or you can join my Telegram channel, which I just mentioned earlier. So thank you for watching. I will see you in the next one. Bye.